Vietnam is a long, sinuous ribbon of contrasts. Coconut-lined islands in the far south, cloud-tangled peaks in the far north, and every flavor, accent, and skyline in between. Home to more than 100 million people and many different ethnic groups, it packs 3,260 kilometers of coastline, jungle-veiled valleys, imperial citadels, and some of the world's most addictive street food. Since the Doi Moi economic reforms of 1986, Vietnam has raced from war-scarred austerity to one of Asia's fastest-growing hyper-creative corners. And amidst the rapid modernization, for now, it holds on to the ancient roots that still shape it today. We had the privilege of traversing this fascinating country, and after 2.5 months, we still feel like we barely scratched the surface of what Vietnam has to offer. But if we had to taste the flavors, culture, and unbelievable landscapes in only 14 days, we're about to show you exactly how we do it. Vietnam stole our hearts in ways we never saw coming, and it might just capture yours too. In fact, by the end of this video, you'll probably be booking your flight to Vietnam and maybe even adding an extra week to your itinerary. Nestled on the coast of mainland Southeast Asia, Vietnam is bordered by China, Laos, and Cambodia, and its eastern coast flanks the East Sea. Hanoi sits in the north as the nation's capital and second largest metropolis. It's the political center of the country, a top university hub, and home to a centuries-old Old Quarter, whose maze of alleys still echoes the city's earliest stories. In order to truly appreciate the Vietnam of today, you need a splash of backstory, so I'm about to take on the enormous task of squeezing 1,000 years of history into 60 seconds. Here we go. Long before the modern map, this land spent nearly a millennium under Chinese rule, leaving marks that are still seen to this day in cities like Hanoi. Vietnam's independence was restored in 938 AD, eventually forming its own imperial government that reigned for centuries. By the mid-1800s, resistance grew against the Nguyen dynasty, Vietnam's last imperial ruling family, and left the country vulnerable to foreign interference. France seized the country, uniting Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia as French Indochina in 1887. Skirmishes continued, and Imperial Japan occupied French Indochina during World War II, and when Japan finally surrendered, Soviet-inspired Ho Chi Minh declared independence from foreign powers as the Democratic Republic of Vietnam on September 2, 1945. The 1954 Geneva Accords ended the French War and split the land along party lines, a communist north and a US-backed south. Sadly, unresolved political division brought about the brutally long and horrific American War shortly after. Eventually, northern Vietnamese forces captured southern Saigon, now known as Ho Chi Minh City, and on July 2, 1976, the two halves reunited as the single-party Socialist Republic of Vietnam that exists today. Whew, that was a mouthful. Even a brief look back reveals the hardship Vietnam has endured and how, from that very soil of suffering, a vibrant new way of life has taken root. Each layer of outside pressure left footprints. Catholic steeples beside Confucian temples, baguettes next to rice noodles, and French forts crumbling in jungles once dotted with US fire bases all hint that pho and wartime reels are only one page of a much longer epic. Ancient kingdoms, colonial chapters, reunification struggles, and a tech-charged present all layered onto this narrow strip of land. We traversed the country for 2.5 months and have yet to visit places like Dalat, Da Nang, Hoi An, Ha Giang, and many others. But if you've only got 14 days and want a taste of coast, karsts, capital buzz, and mountain air, here's the route we'd stake our tickets on. We'll start at the south and make our way north. But first, we need to get there, and that likely means flying with a Vietnamese carrier. Buckle up because there are a few things you'll want to know before you book your ticket. Vietnam has 5 main domestic carriers and none of them have particularly good reviews. We've flown with Vietnam Airlines, Vietjet, and Bamboo Airways and have had both smooth and frustrating experiences. So here's our advice to you. Read every word throughout the booking process. Baggage limits, seat selection fees, it's all on the website and the airlines enforce it to the letter. Triple check your details. If you accidentally reverse your first and last names or mistype a birth date, you could be buying a new plane ticket at the gate. We've met entire groups of travelers who have to do just that. Expect delays and slow check-ins. Hope for an on-time experience, but prepare yourself psychologically for delays. If things run smoothly, that's great. And if not, at least you were mentally prepared for the wait. And finally, check your flight time the night before. Some Vietnamese carriers adjust departure time by as much as 3 hours, often with a single email that landed in your inbox a month ago, and it's easily missed. A quick check the day before can spare you the shock of arriving 2 hours early, finding the gate empty, and buying new tickets on the spot. Unfortunately, yes, we did learn this through experience. Before we dive into this 14-day adventure, keep in mind that what follows is a wide-angle overview of each place. The finer details live in our Vietnam playlist, and with every mile, the story draws near to a final stop that gripped our hearts the most. So without further ado, whether your flight was a breeze or a marathon, this 14-day adventure starts with an exhale on Phu Quoc, Vietnam's largest island, where coconut groves, turquoise waters, and sunset strip resorts feel like an instant reward for every minute you spent in the check-in queue. Also, here's a fun fact. If you plan to stay only on Phu Quoc, you can enjoy up to 30 days on this island visa-free. Full visa details are in the description. Phu Quoc was our first stop in Vietnam, and we learned a few things the hard way.
I think we realized we made a mistake in choosing which location to stay in.
So here's how we'd plan it if we had a do-over. We'd book a place in Duong Dong, the island's administrative capital and commercial heart. Here you get a true sense of local life, as well as the convenience of many restaurants, cafes, and markets to explore. Duong Dong is conveniently centrally located, so taking day trips from here is very easy. Then we'd set aside a full day to tour Phu Quoc's infamous themed developments, Grand World in the north and Sunset Town down south. Our first stop is Venice. Just kidding, this is Grand World, a Venice-styled canal district lined with candy-colored facades and beautifully designed nearby theme parks.
One more thing we did want to mention is that there's actually several beaches up in this northern area that you can visit. Unfortunately, we don't have time for that today, but one of the famous ones is called Starfish Beach. Do some Google searching on that.
Once you've had enough of the beach, head south to Sunset Town, a Mediterranean-inspired coastal town. And guess why it's called Sunset Town? This is the best spot on the island to get a good view of the sunset. This is also where we actually based ourselves, in a stunning apartment that was both beautiful and budget-friendly.
This place is incredibly beautiful, from the stunning foyer to the apartment itself, and it only costs $49 a night after taxes and fees.
However, you should know that all of these mega projects are still maturing.
This is a Sunday, so it's a weekend, and we're in the downtown area. There's not a single person here.
Nope.
What the heck?
Many shopfronts and entire buildings remain empty, so even grabbing a meal can be trickier than you'd expect, which is one reason we wish we'd stayed in Duong Dong instead. On the upside, Sunset Town does stage a polished night market and a nightly pyrotechnic and fireworks show.
So that's all for today, and tomorrow we have something super fun and very unique in the world that we're gonna go see.
Phu Quoc is home to Vietnam's largest theme park, Vin Wonders, located in the north near Grand World. You can also spend the day at Vin Pearl Safari, Vietnam's first semi-wildlife conservation park. We chose to ride the record-holding Han Tham cable car, the world's longest three-wire sea crossing gondola, which glides from Sunset Town over Emerald Islets to Han Tham Island.
It looks like this entire island is basically a gigantic park. Part of it is the water park, and the rest of it is just a huge park. It's all made just for tourism and entertainment, and they're actually building multiple developments along the coast of the island, similar to Sunset Town and Grand World.
And now it's time to leave this upscale resort island to get a glimpse of some of the most epic scenery you have ever seen. It's going to be a bit of a trip, so we recommend catching an early flight from Phu Quoc to Hanoi. From there, hop on what's called a limousine, basically a fancy van, for a 2-hour ride to karst paradise. This is Ninh Binh, also known as Ha Long Bay on land. We highly recommend staying at Swan Sun Lakeside Bungalow, a most wonderful family-run homestay cradled at the foot of massive limestone karsts with heartwarming hospitality and a peaceful lake view. By the way, this isn't a sponsored advertisement. We just genuinely loved the bungalow.
This is probably one of the most beautiful places that we've ever woken up to. I don't even know if we need to go anywhere. I mean, I don't know if it can really get much better than this.
For your first day, you can relax and admire the beauty around you. But if this thought crosses your mind,
Could you imagine climbing to the top of one of these? Actually, I was reading online that there's a great place to do that.
lace up a solid pair of shoes and head for Mua Cave.
While this site is named after the famous cave, we're actually not here for the cave. We are here for an epic view.
From the valley floor, it's a straight-up grind. 500 steep stones cut into the karst. As it gets harder to breathe, you may find yourself questioning your choices, but if you push just a little while longer, you'll meet the sinuous lying dragon and find that every breath and drop of sweat was worth it. Good shoes and great caution are non-negotiable.
I expected there to be a paved walkway. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is not paved.
Because beyond a flimsy safety chain, the limestone is all blades and edges.
This is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Trung An's emerald paddies, river-threaded valleys, and cliffs that have sheltered humans for more than 30,000 years has been protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Landscape since 2014. If you visit in late May through July, you'll find that the lake below blushes pink with stunning lotus blossoms.
We just took in the vast, sweeping beauty of this region from above, and now it's time to step closer and take a look within.
Just a short drive away is a humble farm called Buffalo Cave.
So we just learned a little something about this place. It's owned by a family that are rice farmers and fishermen. And because things are getting a little more difficult economically to make a living off of just rice farming and fishing alone, they've added tourism to their farm so that they supplement their income that way.
This narrow hollow in the towering karst once served as a lifeline, sheltering local villagers through years of conflict and upheaval. Now it's time for Trung An to show itself to you from a completely different perspective. If you want to enjoy this stunning landscape in peace and quiet, we strongly recommend getting here no later than 7 a.m. Otherwise, these waterways become quite crowded. Screens can only hint at Trung An's reach, but floating on its ancient waterways completely rewrites scale and sound. Karst walls vault overhead, mist curls between the ridges, and for 2.5 hushed hours, you drift beneath stone arches and jungle-clad channels. This once-in-a-lifetime slow, gentle glide lets history echo off the cave ceilings and imprints this magnificent valley deep into your memory. Because I promise you, it's one you will remember forever.
Let me tell you, this boat trip was absolutely incredible. It's like one of those places you absolutely have to do when you come to Ninh Binh.
Nature has shown us her masterpiece, and now the valley invites us to discover an ancient culture etched into pagodas and weathered gates. Lotus ponds mirror a sheer limestone cliff, and halfway up its green-veined face, tiled roofs appear like ledges of rust-red petals. This is Beach Dong Pagoda, where jungle, rock, and prayer merge into one view.
This place is absolutely incredible. It feels like you've just stepped onto the scene of a Lord of the Rings movie.
First carved into the mountain in 1428, the three-tier pagoda has weathered 6 centuries and is still a place of worship today. We recommend arriving before 9 a.m. to enjoy the peaceful atmosphere in quiet and stillness. Leaving the humble moss-clad tiers of Beach Dong Pagoda behind, the valley widens and a sweep of colonnades and towering doorways emerges to welcome you to one of the largest Buddhist complexes in Vietnam. This is Bai Dinh Pagoda. And while the magnitude of this complex is mesmerizing, make sure you don't miss the quieter, ancient part of Bai Dinh.
This is where the original pagoda is, and it's believed to be over 1,000 years old.
So far, what I love about this whole pagoda complex is that as you head towards the top, you walk up this beautiful staircase, passing these really cool little caves up through the jungle. It's pretty magical.
Honestly, Ninh Binh more than surpassed our expectations.
The peaceful landscapes around here with the huge limestone cliffs surrounded by green rice paddies is pretty spectacular.
It's the kind of place that you'll look back on your photos one day and be like, oh my gosh, I was actually there.
We leave Ninh Binh at the first light of day, sliding into one of the sleek morning limousine vans bound for Hanoi. From there, a second shuttle and short ferry carry us across the delta. The road ends on Cat Ba Island, and the limestone we just hiked now rises from jade green water. Landlocked spires become seaborne pillars, another turn of Vietnam's landscape kaleidoscope guiding us into the storied expanse of Ha Long Bay. Across 2 tightly kept days, this Venetia cruise threads narrow corridors of limestone towers. Salt spray cools your cheeks as paddles cut the emerald surface and brings you eye level with cliffs streaked by centuries of tide. We skim past a floating hamlet and then step ashore into a small village where tales of nets and tides now mingle with newer rhythms of visiting travelers. After so many days of peace and quiet, it's time to stir things up a bit. We're back in Hanoi, a buzzing 1,000-year-old city that is not only the country's capital, but also a world-class destination for food and coffee lovers. Here, aromatic bowls and whimsical brews spill from every corner. Countless street stalls, hole-in-the-wall eateries, and one-of-a-kind cafes sit only steps from wherever you lay your head, ready to thrill your taste buds at any time of the day or night. The food and coffee scene is so vast that we had to shoot an entire 25-minute food tour video and still barely nick to the surface of this culinary delight. Simply put, Hanoi is a foodie heaven, and if coffee isn't your thing, it likely will be by the time you leave. Follow our 2-day DIY food tour video for a self-guided feast, or link up with a local guide to find tucked-away stalls, eating etiquette, and the stories simmering in every bowl. After 2 days of letting taste buds set the agenda, day 3 calls for walking shoes and wide open eyes. Hanoi's Old Quarter is a living museum that never sits still. Scooters hum like bees, shop signs layer over front shutters, and sentries stack up on a single block. We drift from jade-ringed Huan Kiem Lake and its Scarlet Bridge to Nok Sun Temple, sip thick egg coffee at Cafe Jang, and then trade caffeine for calm under the courtyards of the 11th century Temple of Literature. Moments later, we're shoulder to shoulder in the weekend night market's neon swirl, tracing lanterns toward Long Bien Bridge and the banana groves hiding just beyond its rusted rails. Train Street rattles past at arm's length. Ho Chi Minh rests in marble solemnity, and Phu Quoc Pagoda glens across West Lake, all within a single, breathless loop. You can easily use Grab to get around, and one thing's for sure, if you're new to Hanoi and don't understand the rules of the road here, do not drive yourself. And if you're going to be a pedestrian, believe me when I say you'll have to learn how to cross the road all over again.
Crossing the road here is not as simple as it seems. Even though we had the green light, like the pedestrians were supposed to go, nobody was stopping for us. So I think you just kind of have to go whenever you get a chance.
You may feel every instinct screaming, don't step into oncoming traffic. But this is Hanoi, so you can take everything you know about crossing the road and toss it out the window. Here's a local pro tip. No one makes a full stop for pedestrians. You are expected to step into the flowing traffic, keep going at a steady pace, and let the scooters stream around you like a school of fish. Do not stop for any reason, because you'll throw the whole rhythm off and can cause an accident.
All right. Oh, we made it unscathed.
In fact, you can even blindfold yourself, walk across the busiest road, and get to the other side completely intact. Okay, in case it wasn't clear, that was sarcasm. Please don't actually blindfold yourself. The noise and caffeine rush of Hanoi dissolve as we embark on the most relaxing and comfortable 6-hour ride we've had on our travels, all for only $15 a person. We trade city rush for the cool highland air of Lao Cai province, where tiered rice terraces stretch like green stairways into the clouds. In our humble opinion, we've saved the best for last. Sapa. This is Vietnam's roof, where every trail feels like an invitation to pause. We only have 3 days on this itinerary, but honestly, this place deserves an exclusive 2-week stay to itself. There are plenty of hotels to stay at within Sapa town, but if you're looking for a local experience, we recommend staying in a nearby village instead. There are many homestays you can choose from, and we chose to stay at this cozy little Airbnb in the peaceful beauty of Ta Phin Village, a small village located 11 kilometers outside of Sapa town. You can use Grab or a private taxi to get around.
This is our awesome taxi driver, Hui. So if you come to Sapa and need a ride anywhere, make sure to give him a call. We've included his WhatsApp number in the description. Say hello.
Hello, xin chào các bạn sang đến Việt Nam tôi sẽ đón các bạn nhé.
But we like to feel the mountain air, so we rented a scooter for $6 a day. Since we're already here, we'll start with exploring Ta Phin. This village is as peaceful and quiet as it looks. The scent of the earth and sounds of diverse life draw you into a world that is likely very different than your own.
The Red Dao people make up a significant portion of the population in Ta Phin village, and they are experts in herbal medicine. As farmers, they work their bodies hard all day long, and they've come up with an incredible way to soothe and restore their bodies.
So what better way to meet this mountain village than by slipping into water steeped with the roots and bark gathered from the valleys all around? Red Dao women collect medicinal tree bark, roots, and herbs, then simmer them until the bath turns a fragrant, tea-rich amber.
This is amazing.
This is only one brief glimpse of the tranquil beauty of Ta Phin, so if you're eager to see more, be sure to check out our Sapa video. The soothing effects of warm cedar still lingers in our bones as we ascend towards Sapa town.
This is the town center of Sapa, and it's a really neat vibe here. You'll see a lot of tourism, but also locals just going about their day. There are tons of restaurants and cafes, markets. There's this beautiful plaza and a lovely lake that you can walk next to. And we just love the architecture here. It's a blend of French colonial architecture as well as more modern buildings that have popped up over the last decade since tourism has erupted here.
A short climb up nearby Ham Rong Mountain winds through flower beds to a rocky lookout that lays Sapa at your feet. And just beyond, Moana Sapa picks up the same cloud-brushed panorama, framing it with sculpted hands and hillside swings for a fresh perspective on the valley. Views may draw you here, but Sapa also offers incredible flavors that you won't taste anywhere else in Vietnam.
The broth we steal from the chicken pot.
Yeah,
About 1 hour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
1 hour, and then you can steal with some lemongrass, ginger. Yes.
If yesterday's views left you wanting more, you'll be thrilled to hear that Sapa is home to the highest peak in Vietnam. We'll ride the Mung Hua Mountain Railway from Sapa to Hoang Thien Station, then glide above the forest in the Sunworld cable car toward the summit. Here, Phan Xipan rises 3,143 meters above the sea level, earning its name as the rooftop of Vietnam.
We made it to the summit. It was actually kind of tough climbing because you feel the elevation. That was surprising to me. I didn't expect that. But we made it. And if you use your imagination really, really hard, you can just picture how beautiful it is from up here.
As you can see, Phan Xipan decides whether or not you'll see the majesty of this region. But we'd say this climb is still a wager worth taking. Beauty here is found not only in the land, but also in the lives shaped by it. You can get a glimpse of the history and traditions that have sprouted from this soil by making a stop at Kat Kat village. In order to fully enjoy this experience, you need to have the right expectations. This village once was a traditional Black Hmong village, but in recent years it's become a cultural exhibition center where Black Hmong people put their talents and way of life on display for the world to see.
This village is built just for tourism, but what makes it different from other tourist places is that it's built to actually show off the culture of the local people here. It's showing off their heritage, their lifestyle, their embroidery, their craftsmanship, and it's a really beautiful thing to show off to the world your own heritage, you know? When you're walking through here, it doesn't quite feel like you're just walking through a tourist trap. It feels like you're walking through the people's culture, and we really, really appreciate that.
So having done many different tour stops in Vietnam, I've heard two opinions about this place. One is that it's way too touristy, don't come. And the other one is that it is beautiful and you have to go. And now that I've been here, my opinion is this place is beautiful. It is touristy, it's set up for tourists, but they do such a good job. It is so beautiful, and you feel like you're walking through an open air museum or like a work of art. It's so well done, and we really enjoyed our time here.
And now for a little side note. If you've been eyeing the little pin we never mentioned and wondering whether it slipped in by accident, good catch. That dot belongs to Hue, Vietnam's old imperial capital. We left it off the 14-day itinerary because weaving inland to this royal citadel adds a small detour. But if centuries-old palaces, riverside temples, and bowl-licking cuisine sound like your kind of encore, tack on a few extra days and let Hue's history do the storytelling. 14 days in Vietnam is only a first taste on the tip of your tongue. The remarkable natural beauty of this country, the hospitality of its people, and the unforgettable flavors that will linger in your memory forever will leave you wanting more. So if you're itching for a deeper experience and want to see all the places we detailed in our Vietnam playlist, we strongly recommend adding at least one more week to your itinerary as follows. The truth is, Vietnam isn't a country you rush through and call it done. We spent 2.5 months here and still dream of the day we get to experience more of its culture and valleys we have yet to walk. If this guide helps you map your own journey, let us know how it goes, and remember to subscribe so we can embrace the unknown together in the next one.